That morning cup of coffee. For so many of us, it's just non-negotiable. But have you ever really stopped and thought about it? Is that daily ritual of yours a health hero, or is it maybe a hidden villain? Well, let's get into it.
I mean, think about it. This is one of the most popular drinks on the entire planet, a daily comfort for billions of people. It gets us going, helps us lock in and focus, and it's so often right at the center of our social lives. It seems so simple, right? So harmless. But is it?
You've seen the headlines, I'm sure. They're all over the place. One day, coffee is a superfood, the next day it's a major health risk. So, what's the real story here? Is this simple little habit helping you out, or could it be hurting you in ways you don't even see?
Okay, let's kick things off with the surprising upside of coffee. And I'm telling you, some of these findings might just challenge everything you thought you knew about your morning brew. Let's start with this really powerful statement from Dr. Rob Van Dam over at Harvard. He basically says that for most people, the evidence is pretty clear. Coffee doesn't seem to have any serious harmful health effects. Whew, that's a pretty reassuring place to start, right? But believe me, it gets even better.
Now just look at this number. A Harvard study found that men who drank 4 to 5 cups of caffeinated coffee every day cut their risk of developing Parkinson's disease by almost half. I mean, that is a staggering potential benefit, especially when we're all looking for ways to fight off these kinds of diseases.
And it doesn't stop there. Another study, this time looking at women, found a 20% lower risk of depression for those who drank 4 or more cups of caffeinated coffee a day. That points to a really significant link between coffee and our mental well-being. And the list of potential perks just keeps on growing. Research has linked coffee to a lower risk of type 2 diabetes and even liver cancer. Some studies show a slightly lower risk of heart disease if you're drinking about 3 to 5 cups a day. It's even been connected with what scientists call healthy aging, living past 70 without any major chronic diseases.
So, if you're on team pro-coffee, this is your big takeaway. Study after study shows that drinking up to 6 8-ounce cups a day isn't linked to an increased risk of death from anything. Not cancer, not heart disease. Case closed, right? Coffee's great. Well, not so fast.
Yeah, not exactly. Now we've got to flip the coin and look at the other side, the hidden downsides that make this whole story a lot more complicated. Because the truth is, for some people, coffee can cause some very real, very frustrating problems.
Let's start with heartburn and acid reflux. Turns out coffee, and this goes for both regular and decaf, can relax that little muscular valve at the top of your stomach. And when that happens, stomach acid can splash back up, causing that awful burning feeling we all know as GERD.
And honestly, the concerns don't stop there. For some of us, caffeine can jack up our heart rate and blood pressure. It can make anxiety worse and totally mess with our sleep. And then, of course, there's caffeine dependence and those brutal withdrawal headaches. For certain groups, the risks are even more serious. During pregnancy, it might affect fetal growth. And for people with diabetes, it can actually interfere with blood sugar control. So, this leads us to some pretty clear advice. Based on all the evidence, you should probably think about limiting your coffee intake if you fall into one of these groups. If you're pregnant, if you have trouble with blood pressure or blood sugar, or if you're prone to anxiety or sleep issues, that daily cup might be doing you more harm than good.
So how in the world can one single drink have such a Jekyll and Hyde personality? Well, the answer is that coffee is so much more than just a delivery system for caffeine. Let's unpack the incredible complexity that's in every single cup.
You see, a cup of coffee has over 1,000 different bioactive compounds in it. We always fixate on the caffeine, but it's this incredibly complex chemical mixture, full of things like antioxidants, which might explain a lot of the benefits, that's really responsible for the huge range of effects, both good and bad.
Let's just zoom in on one of those other compounds for a second, something called caffeine. It's found in the oily part of the coffee bean, and research shows it's a powerful stimulator of LDL, the bad cholesterol. This is a perfect example of how coffee's effects can come from places we don't even think about.
And this is where it gets really practical. How you actually brew your coffee can totally change its health impact. A simple paper filter does an amazing job at trapping most of that caffeine. But if you're using a French press or making boiled coffee where there's no paper filter, a lot more of that cholesterol-raising stuff ends up in your cup. The way you brew literally changes the chemistry of your drink.
Okay, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and we've seen just how complex this all is. So now, let's pull it all together, get to a final verdict, and take a look at the bigger picture.
So after all of that, what's the answer? Is coffee good or bad? Well, the most accurate, honest answer is, it depends. For most people, when you drink it in moderation, coffee can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle. It's not the poison some people used to think it was, but it's not some magic health potion either.
And this quote from Dr. Van Dam really puts everything into perspective. He's basically saying that worrying too much about your coffee intake is kind of missing the forest for the trees. If you really want to boost your health, your energy is much better spent on the big things: moving your body, not smoking, and improving your overall diet.
In fact, the whole story of coffee is a perfect real-world example of the World Health Organization's basic principles for a healthy diet: sufficiency, balance, moderation, which is key for coffee, and diversity. No single food or drink ever exists in a vacuum.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. The real lesson from coffee is that context is everything. Your personal health, your other habits, even how you brew your drink, it all matters. No single food is a magic bullet. And with very few exceptions, no single food is pure poison either.
So that leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that you've seen the whole complex story of coffee, it kind of makes you wonder, what else in your daily routine, what's in your cup or on your plate, might deserve a second look through this more nuanced lens?